and it will be posted to you guys. So I think that you would have limited access to it, probably about if I'm not mistaken, 3 days to 1 week. I'm not so sure. Okay. Okay. So before I proceed, I just want to wish each and every one of you all the best for Monday in case you're waiting for your results. If you are waiting for your results, I hope that everything goes the way that you expect it to. I hope that you pass your paper. I hope that you can proceed to take whatever paper that you have already planned to for the next semester, for the coming semester, sorry. And I hope that you start your year with no disappointments by passing all your paper. Okay, so now let me just share my screen. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through free cash flow today. Something very simple, something very straightforward. You probably already know most of it. For some of you who already resume your classes or you are already going through classes, but for those who has not started, okay, so a small or a slight introduction. Before that now guys, just give me a minute. Let me set up my screen so that I can see everyone here. Just give me a moment. Okay. 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 Okay, can you see my screen? I'm sharing with you my notes for free cash flow.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So what we are going to do today is free cash flow. Okay. Now, free cash flow is a topic on its own. Okay. When you talk about free cash flow, there are certain parts of it where you are focusing on. There's a reason why we are doing the free cash flow topic. So the reason why I chose free cash flow today is because in my mind, okay, the assumption that I have in my mind is that a lot of you have not started classes yet. So the fact that you haven't started classes, you want something that is relatable to you. Okay, so for that reason, I thought that free cash flow would be something that is relatable. Free cash flow is something that you can relate to, and free cash flow is something that you can easily understand. Now, it's not that I don't want to teach you a difficult topic. I think to let you ease into AFM, I think I would choose something that is more relatable. So that's why I chose this. Now, before I start teaching, okay, this is something that I really like to do. Can you tell me from your understanding, those who already have done AFM before, you have studied this before, can you tell me what is your understanding on free cash flow? What do you understand about the topic free cash flow or calculating free cash flow? Anyone? You can share with me.
Miss. What I understand about free cash flow is cash available for our investors.
Okay, the cash flow that is available for the investors of the company. Okay, that is a very accurate answer. So when you're calculating free cash flow, actually, what you are calculating is how much cash is available, or how much of the cash flow of the company is available or distributable to the capital contributors of your company. So when I say capital contributors, oops, okay, wait, you need to give me a moment. My writing pad is not working. Okay, wait guys, hold on. Okay, wait just give me a moment. I'm so sorry, my writing pad is not working. I have no idea why. It worked just fine yesterday. What happened? Okay, just give me one moment. Okay. Okay, sorry. I don't know what happened. It was working fine yesterday. Suddenly, it made me panic. Okay. Okay, yeah. So free cash flow is the funds that is available for your capital contributors. So I like to use the word capital contributors because your company is funded by different uh, holders. Example, you have equity holders and you have debt holders. So I like to generalize them as debt holders and equity holders because then it becomes a lot easier for you to understand. The reason why I use it as debt holder and equity holder because free cash flow itself can be divided into free cash flow to the company and free cash flow to equity. Okay, when I say or when the examiner asks you to calculate free cash flow to the company, he is asking you to calculate the funds that are available for both debt plus equity holder. When he asks you to calculate free cash flow to equity, he's actually asking you to calculate the funds that are available for the shareholders or the equity holders of the company. So you need to know this very, very specifically. So this is where when you calculate your free cash flow, your formula would change a little bit. Okay, so how would your formula be different? We will look at it a bit later. Okay, now free cash flow is actually as simple as it is, it's actually a very important topic because it is used in multiple areas of your AFM. Number one, your examiner can test this as a free cash flow question by itself. That means the question itself is a free cash flow. And then examiner is very smart. He's a very yeah, he's very smart. I don't want to use any other words because he can use it as free cash flow to company or free cash flow to equity. Okay, and he can also give you a method where he say calculate the free cash flow to equity but use the free cash flow to the company method. So there are few different ways where you can use free cash flow in your calculation. Okay, number one, as a free cash flow question, which we are doing today. Number two, he uses it in the business valuation. Okay, I normally generalize it as business valuation, i.e. acquisition and mergers. Okay, so you can see in the question, if it's an acquisition or merger question, part of it, or even if it's a reconstruction type question, you can see part of the question, he may ask you to use free cash flow to value the firm. Example, Vogel. I don't know whether this is familiar to you. Nente. All these are business valuation type question where he asks you to apply the concept of free cash flow. And number three, he will ask you to use free cash flow in what type of question? This is very simple. Which other topic you use the concept of free cash flow? Anyone yang already taken your AFM paper? Dividend capacity. I don't know whether you know dividend capacity yet. Capacity. Okay. So these are the three major areas where you need to apply free cash flow. Okay. So you need to remember one thing. Free cash flow, as simple as it is, it can be applied throughout the entire syllabus. That is why I choose something like this today. It's simple, but it is vital. It is important. You must know it. You cannot skip a free cash flow type question. Okay, it's something that you cannot, tak apalah, I look at it another day, or I look at it one week before exam. You cannot do that. Okay, so now the free cash flow format. Okay, I'm just going to show you the format. I'm not going to go through it in detail because you already have the notes. Okay, you start with operating cash flow, you add back depreciation if anything. Okay, so why I add back depreciation is because here I say operating profit. So profit, to convert it into cash flow, you have to add back the non-cash item. So you need to, the reason why you're doing this step, so I'm just going to call it step 1, is to convert profit to cash flow. Okay, and then you will make adjustments that are relevant to the free cash flow topic. So changes in working capital, that means if there is an increase or decrease in working capital, you have to adjust it here. Okay, you minus any tax payments, any non-current asset expenditure, you get your free cash flow. So you must remember, free cash flow that I'm calculating here is actually the free cash flow to company or the free cash flow to firm. That's another word that you can use. Okay, now how do I convert this into free cash flow to equity? So the logic is, I'm not going to ask you to memorize anything. Let's go to the logic. Free cash flow to firm is the amount of funds available to debt and equity holder. So what do you pay to your debt and equity holder? Debt you pay interest, equity you pay dividend. Correct? So now, if you want to calculate the free cash flow to equity, you must remember you are only calculating it to equity holder. So in your creditor hierarchy, the first person that you pay out, debt holder. The last person that you pay out is equity holder. So now you want to find the free cash flow to equity here. What it means is that to find the amount that is available to equity holder, you need to first settle all your debt obligation. Then only the remaining amount you will pay to your equity holder. So in that case, what I must do is, from free cash flow to firm, for it to become free cash flow to equity, I just need to eliminate any obligation to my debt holder. Apa yang I pay to my debt holder? Interest. So I just need to minus interest. So if you go down here, I'm not sure whether I have, yes, okay. So here, free cash flow to the firm, for it to become free cash flow to equity, any debt related adjustment is what I need to make. Most of the time in your examination, in your P4, examiner normally only ask for interest. I've never seen, until today, I've never seen him ask a question that has debt repayment and any cash raise. Belum. He has not asked yet. I'm not saying that he cannot, but it's out of his way if he asks something like this. Okay, so it is that simple. Okay, so remember, from free cash flow to the firm to become equity, you just need to minus the debt related items. Most of the time for you guys, you just need to focus on debt interest. Okay, now, sorry. Okay, what can the free cash flow used for? Okay, the free cash flow, you can use it also to find the value of a company. Okay, that is why, the reason why kita use it in business valuation topic, because free cash flow can also be used to find what is the company value. Now, once you have known what is free cash flow, you know what is the difference between free cash flow to firm and free cash flow to equity. The next thing that you need to know is, what is the tricks that examiner normally use in his question. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky because examiner can ask you 3 different things. Number 1, he asks you to calculate FCF, free cash flow to firm. Number 2, he can ask to calculate FCE, FE, free cash flow to equity. Number 3, he will ask you to calculate FCFE using the free cash flow to the firm method. This is not a problem for you. FCF is not a problem for you. FCFE is not a problem. Why? Because if you know the format, if you know the formula, it will be quite straightforward for you to complete it. The next one, FCFE using the FCF method. What it means is that you are going to, step number 1, find free cash flow to the firm. Step number 2, you minus the debt portion. That means minus total debt. Different, because here what you're doing, you just FCFE, you just minus interest. Okay, but here, if you use the free cash flow to the firm method, you find the total value of the company minus the total value of debt, you get total equity value. So 2 different approaches. So you must read the examiner's requirement very, very carefully. Dia memang, he will definitely say, use FCF method to calculate FCF. If he say that, then you must use step 1, step 2. If not, you directly can use whichever method that you want. Okay, so there are so many different types of questions that you can do for FCF. Okay, I'm going to choose something that is easy today so that we can do together. And as I do the question, I'm going to explain to you where are the common mistakes of students, and also where are the areas where examiner will normally confuse you. Okay, especially the part where you need to add back, minus, all that. Okay, so maybe I'll give you about 1 minute to quickly read my notes if you have any questions. Okay, if you have already read it, no other issue. Let's do the question that I passed to you. Codeco. Okay, it's a very simple question, very straightforward question. Okay, now, everyone ready? So far, any question on free cash flow? Anybody? Yes, no, maybe?
Miss,
Yes?
yang for number 3 method, free cash flow to equity using free cash flow method tu, as stated in the notes.
As stated in the notes.
As the note given here.
Here, is it the one in my screen? Can you see the one in my screen? Are you asking me about this?
No, the whole format.
What you must do is, okay, if he asks you to calculate step number 3, you must find the free cash flow to the firm using this one, this method.
Yang number 2 method, free cash flow to equity.
Free cash flow to equity is a combination of step number 1, you cari sampai free cash flow to the firm, lepas tu you minus interest. Tu je difference dia.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, before I move ahead, okay, I just want to remind you of something. In my notes here, I started with operating profit before interest and tax. Okay, sometimes your examiner might ask you to calculate from the beginning. That means he give you sales, variable cost, fixed cost, and he asks you to calculate the operating cash flow, and then so on and so forth lah. So you go from operating cash flow, working capital, tax, interest, all that. Okay, so just a reminder, dekat sini I give you the starting point is operating profit, but your starting point can also be revenue, and then onwards lah, so you minus your costs, so on and so forth. Okay, so I think the one where we are going, to look at today is something where we are going to do a free cash flow question. We are going to do it from scratch, from the beginning. Okay, so now let's look at this question. Okay, so I'm going to do this question. Along the way, I'm going to guide you very closely, one by one. So if you have any question, please feel free to stop me along the way. Or kalau you feel like you don't want to stop me, you want to share a question in the chat box, I will still come back to your question later, because I will open like a half an hour Q&A session later. Okay, now the requirement, okay, he said prepare a 3-year cash flow forecast for the business on the basis described above, highlighting the free cash flow to equity. Okay, so you need to be careful because he asked you to calculate free cash flow to equity. Now, there are so many methods where you can start to do this question, but let's do it in the most simplest manner where we can find. Okay, we start with reading the question. Okay. Kodakko is a small software design business established 4 years ago. The company is owned by 3 directors who have relied upon external accounting services in the past. The company has grown quickly, and the directors have appointed you as the financial consultant to advise on the value of the business under their ownership. So, the directors have limited liability. The bank loan is secured against the general asset. The directors have no outstanding guarantees on the company's debts. Okay, so he has given you the financial statement, so income statement and financial position. Now, during the current year, okay, what has happened is, okay, wait, you must be careful that this one is the most latest financial position. You are supposed to prepare a forecast. That means you have the current information and you will be preparing the future financial information for the company. Okay, now here, during the current year, depreciation is charged at 10% per annum on the year-end non-current asset balance before accumulated depreciation, and is included under other operating costs. So you must be careful. Okay, if you start with profit, you must remember to add back. Okay, now the investment in net working capital is expected to increase in line with growth in gross profit. That means net working capital growth and the gross profit growth is the same figure. Okay, we just need to find what is it. Now, what does your other operating costs comprise of? Okay, you have a variable cost, which is 15% of the sales. You have a fixed cost element, and you also have a depreciation element here. The next one, revenue and variable costs are projected to grow at 9% per annum. Fixed costs will grow at 6%. So I want you to do this whenever you get percentages of growth. The best thing for you to do, you go up here, you write the percentage here, or write the percentage wherever you have space. Why? Because you don't want to keep flipping the page. You must remember the question is long. We want to try our best to minimize rereading the question. Okay, here your growth is 6%. Okay, wait, sorry, lagging. Okay, now the company pays interest on its outstanding loan of 7.5% per annum, and the tax on profit is 30%. Okay, now, why did he give you the 7.5%? What's the reason for the 7.5%?
To get free cash flow to equity.
Yes, to get free cash flow to equity, because to find free cash flow to equity, remember you must minus interest. Okay, now the net current asset reported in the statement of financial position contains $50,000 of cash. Okay, I just want you to put an asterisk here because there is a confusion here, but I'm not going to address it now. I'm going to address it later when I come to the part where we need to do this question. Okay, because kalau I do everything now, I'm scared that you will have like problem later to remember what I was talking about. Okay, now one of your first tasks is to prepare for the directors a forward cash flow projection for 3 years, okay, to value the firm on the basis of the expected cash flow to equity. In the discussion, okay, the following has been discussed, okay. The company will not dispose any non-current asset, but will increase the investment in new non-current asset by 20% per annum. That means your additions will increase by 20% every year. The company's depreciation policy matches the currently available tax write-off for capital allowances. This straight line write-off policy is not likely to change. Okay, so I want you to not be confused. This is relating to tax relief. When you do free cash flow, you are going to take into account depreciation, not tax relief. So don't get confused. Okay, now the directors will not take a dividend for the next 3 years, but then will review the position taking into account the company's sustainable cash flow at that time. Okay, so for the first 3 years, you are not going to take any dividend. You probably would take a dividend after that. So your cash flow projection of 3 years, you no need to have any adjustment for dividend. Okay, the level of loan is maintained, okay, on the basis of the forward yield curve. Interest rate is not expected to change. So the one that is relevant to you is interest rate, and it is not going to change for the next 3 years. So your target return on equity is 10% per annum, okay, and the directors believe that this is fair amount. Okay, now to start this question, okay, my advice to you, whenever you have information that is already given by examiner, what you do is you look at the financial statements, okay, and your financial statement that was given to you here starts from revenue. Okay, so there are two ways where you can do it. Your revenue and your variable cost growth is 9%. That means your contribution will also grow by the same percentage. Sebab revenue increase 9, cost increase by 9%, so your contribution will also increase by 9%. So you can do it two ways. You can start by stating the revenue and then cost and then gross profit, or if you want to save time, you straight away go to your gross profit, increase it by 9% per annum. Are y'all okay so far? Okay. So my format for free cash flow. Oh wait, sorry. I think I'm not sharing screen. Share screen. Can you see my Word document now?
Yes.
Okay. To equity. What's the company name again? Codeco. Okay, so always start with your format first. So I'm going to put year. So I have 3 years to do. Year 1, year 2, year 3. Okay, so I am going to start with revenue just to show you that you can start from revenue. Okay, so revenue and cost of sales. Okay, so my revenue now is 5,000. I need your help because I don't have a calculator with me. 5,000 multiplied by 1.09. Okay, I'm just going to write it small here. You can type for me in the chat box.
For year one, the revenue is 5450.
5450. Oh, kejap. 5450 for year 2.
5941.
5941.
1.
Okay. And then year 3. I like all the people who switch on their camera. It feels like I've got someone to interact with.
6475.
6475. Okay. Now your cost of sales, you can do the same thing. Sorry, let me just go and check what's my cost of sales. 3,000 increased by 9% also. So I'm not gonna write now. Okay, I'm just gonna write the answer because someone was kind enough to bring my calculator for me. So this is 3270. Correct me if I'm wrong, yeah. 3564. 3885. Okay, so I get gross profit. Okay, I'm going to give you like 1 minute to do this, and then once you're done with year 1 to 3, then you can give me the answer lah. No need to rush to give me the answer yet. Okay, I actually have the answer with me. 550 minus 3270. Okay. Okay. Is my answer correct?
Yes, miss.
Okay, now I just want you to do double check. So what I want you to do is you take the gross profit here, 2000, you try to multiply by 1.09. Do you get 2180 or not?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, okay. So I just want to show you that because your revenue and your cost of sales, they increase by the same amount, your gross profit actually will also increase by the same amount. Plus the question already told you. So two methods, there is logic to it, and also because the question already told you. Okay. Now, okay, after the gross profit, sorry, I need to go and see the format. I forgot. Okay, you need to do the other operating costs. Okay, so how do you do the other operating costs? What is the components for the other operating costs? So you have variable costs, you have fixed costs, and you have depreciation. Okay, so now other operating costs, you have to do a working lah. So this will be your working one. Okay. Now, I'm going to scroll all the way down. You have to give me a moment. Okay, so I'm going to scroll all the way to the next page. Okay, here. So my workings. Okay, working one, other operating costs. Okay, so I have year 1 to 3. Okay, now my other operating cost has variable costs, fixed costs, and depreciation. Okay, Variable cost was 15% of revenue. Am I right? Yep. Okay. So let me just write this down here. 15% of revenue. Okay. Now, what is my revenue in year 1? 5450. So you multiply by 15%. How much do you get? 15%. How much do you get?
818.
Okay, 818. Okay, and then can you help me do for year 2 and year 3 as well? 5941 multiply 15%, and then 6475 multiply 15%. Okay. Don't worry, I will guide you through every single working that I will do. I will tell you the reason why I'm doing every single thing that I'm doing. Okay, but it's just a simple topic. It's quite straightforward, right? I'm sure you find it easy. 6475 multiply 0.15. Guys, am I doing it or are you also doing it? Am I too fast? Shall I take a step back and slow down a bit? Okay or not? Okay.
No. For me, it's already okay like this.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Now, fixed cost, I think is quite easy. They say it increased by 6% per annum, right? Fixed cost, yes. So can someone help me? Your fixed cost is 1,000, has to increase by 6% per annum. Where I get the 1,000? Note 3, fixed cost shows 1,000. Okay, so here 1,000 multiply 1.06, 1060 kan?
Yes, miss.
So here is 1060. Okay, multiply again 1.06, 1124, and multiply by 1.06. Oops, again, it is 1192. Okay, now the next one where you have a little bit of where you suddenly get stuck for a while is depreciation. Why? Because he say depreciation is calculated on the closing balance of non-current asset. Okay, what it means by closing balance? Ayu, someone keep keep distracting me. Sebab I think they got connection problem. Okay, never mind. What it means by closing balance, that means you must take the opening balance of your non-current asset. Can I just give me one moment, guys? Kacau. Someone keep always like disconnected and connected, so I don't know how to do this. Okay, now you take opening balance plus any additions. Okay, you minus you add the addition, you get the closing balance, and then you multiply by 10%, you get the depreciation. So you must remember, opening plus addition, closing, that closing balance you multiply by 10%, that is your depreciation. So how do you do your depreciation? So here another working, I'm going to say working number 2 before I start or before I complete this working. So working number 2 will be depreciation. But in order for y'all to know or to calculate the depreciation, you need the working which is opening balance plus additions, you get closing balance, okay? And then you multiply by 10% to get depreciation. Now, how do I get the opening balance of my non-current asset. Okay, so the previous year closing balance is the current year's opening balance kan, sebab you will carry forward to the next year. So the last year closing balance, when you carry forward to this year, it will be opening balance. So this will be my forecasted opening balance for non-current asset. Okay, because this is the closing balance. You see, opening plus addition, closing balance. Okay, this one you bring forward to next year, it will become the opening balance. So for year 1266, sorry 1266. Okay, how will my additions grow? My additions will grow by, if I'm not mistaken, 20% every year. Let me just go and double check. Yes, increase the investment in new non-current asset by 20% per annum. That means your addition, it will grow by 20% every year. So here, my additions would be 66 multiply 1.20. So it should be 79. So far, are you guys okay? Got any problem yet? Okay.
Okay, Miss.
Okay. Okay, then you cari lah closing balance plus 1266. You get 1345. 1345, and then depreciation at 10% is 135. 134.5, so I say 135. Okay, now just to go back to explain something to you. Okay, kenapa I take depreciation, lepas tu I multiply it 10% of closing balance? Why do I do that? Because if you go back to your question, he will say depreciation is charged at 10% per annum on the year-end non-current asset before accumulated depreciation. Okay, so bila you go up to your profit or loss statement, your SOFP, he said that depreciation is on the closing balance before accumulated depreciation. That means this balance. So you kena exclude accumulated depreciation when you want to calculate the depreciation. Okay, that's why I say opening, addition, closing. Lepas tu I multiply by 10%. Are you guys okay? Now, okay, if no issue, so let's proceed to calculate the next year. The next year would be 1345. Here you multiply 1.2 again. 79. So here you get 95. So here 0441. Okay, so it's 144. And then here 1440 multiply 1.20. So 95 multiply 1.2 is, oh my god, ramainya yang ada internet problem. 114. So you get 1554. Here 155. Okay. Kita. Okay, now this is the value 135, 144, 145 is the value that we are going to include in our operating cost just now. So here 135, 144 and 155. So my total operating cost, you just total up. Okay, I'm going to use 3, 1, 10, 11, 8, 9, 1. Betul ke? 818 plus 1060 plus 13. 818 plus 1. 20, sorry, not 19. 20. Okay, you calculate the rest also. 4, 8, 9. 9 plus 6, 5, 8, 10, 11, 2, 1, 5, 9. 8, 16, 1, 21, 2, 11, 12, 13. Okay. 2013, 2159, 2013, 2159, 2318. Okay. Now, what do I do next? So after this, I will find operating profit. Can someone help me find the operating profit, please?
Year 1167.
167.
Next one is 218.
218.
Year 3272.
272. Okay, thank you. Okay, now you have operating profit. Now, kan kita nak cari free cash flow. So every time you want to find free cash flow, when you have a profit, always remember the first step is to add depreciation. Do not forget to add depreciation. Okay. So I'm going to write here add depreciation. Lepas tu I got something to explain to you. So 135, 144, 155. Wait, let me go and double check. 135, 144, 155. Okay. Now, here, can you please highlight this? Okay. In this question, I add depreciation. Some of the question, if you notice, you don't have to add back depreciation. Even though their profit convert into cash flow, you don't have to add depreciation. Why is it so? Because in some of the question, examiner will say that the amount of investment in non-current asset is equal to the depreciation amount. So, okay, I just want to go all the way down somewhere far, far away to explain to you something. Okay. Color pen, wait, color pen. Okay. If the amount of depreciation is equal to the investment in non-current asset, no adjustment needed. Why? Because investment in non-current asset, investment, cash outflow, negative. Depreciation, you have to add back positive. Positive, negative, dia net off to become zero. So you tak payah buat any adjustment. You don't have to make any adjustment. But you must be careful because this only happens when the examiner gives you this line. Okay? Okay, now. So that is common mistake number 1. Or even if I don't say it's a common mistake, that is something that you see it in your examiner's answer, but you don't know why he did as such. Okay, normally that's what student doesn't understand. Okay, now the next one. Okay, after I have added depreciation, now I just need to make adjustment for working capital. Okay, so changes in working capital. So for my changes in working capital, I'm just going to write here working capital. Sorry, working capital changes. Okay, so here will be my working number 3. Okay, working number 3 working capital. Now, to find the working capital changes, you first need to know what is the value of your working capital. Okay, now, here, the examiner has given you net current asset. Net current asset is current asset minus current liability. Okay, current asset minus current liability is equals to 270. Okay, now he also said the net current asset contains $50,000 of cash. Okay, that means what he means is that I'm going to break it down for you. Trade receivable plus cash minus trade payable is equals to 270, whereby dekat sini you have a $50,000 of cash. Now, working capital is current asset minus current liability but does not include cash. Sorry, I forgot one more element, inventory. Okay, so working capital, to find working capital, it is equals to inventory plus trade receivable minus trade payable. Betul tak? So can you see the difference? Net current asset and working capital. So here, I should not include the cash inside here. So what I need to do is to get inventory plus trade receivable minus trade payable, what I do is 270 minus 50. So my working capital is 220. Okay, so this is my working capital in year 0 lah. That means in the current year here. In the current year here, actually my working capital equals to 270 minus $50, so 220. Okay, now I want to stop here and I want to ask you, everyone, are you guys clear about this or not? Ada tak apa-apa problem? Do you have any problem?
Miss, can you repeat about the depreciation regarding the mistake? That
The yang common mistake tu Okay, so the common mistake for depreciation is, okay, sometimes, okay, here kan kita dah add back dekat sini kan, kita add depreciation dekat sini. Tapi sometimes dalam examiner punya answer, dia tak add back depreciation. Walaupun sepatutnya you add. Tapi kalau you tengok examiner punya answer, dia tak add. The reason kenapa dia tak add is because of this sentence yang I tulis dekat sini. Here, your depreciation yang you sepatutnya add is, let's say, 250. Okay? And then, dia cakap, the investment in non-current asset equals to the amount of depreciation. That means kalau your depreciation is 250, your investment is also 250. Tapi investment tu cash outflow. So, dia negative 250. So, here plus 250, here minus 250, actually dia net off jadi 0. So, sebab tu dia tak tulis dalam dia punya working that you need to add back and minus. Sebab memang dia dah net off terus. For him, it's like, I understand that I have to net it off already. Okay or not?
Okay, Miss, thank you.
Welcome. Okay. Okay, so if this working capital got no issue, so year 0 is 220. Now, the examiner said that working capital will increase in line with the growth in gross profit. Maksudnya working capital increase also is 9%. Okay, so in year 1, okay, this one became a bit messy already. So in year 1, I'm just going to write here again here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, because I dah mess it up here. Okay, so in year 1, it will be 220 multiply 1.09. Here will be 220 multiply 1.09 to the power of 2. And then 220 multiply 1.09 to the power of 3. Okay, so 220 multiply 1.09 is 240. Here is 261. Here is 285. Okay, now remember, yang relevant to you is only the changes in working capital. That means the increase or decrease. That means in year 1, okay, it moved from 220 to 240. Sebab year 0 to year 1 kan dia ada increase. There is an increase from year 0 to year 1. The increase is 20. So there is a negative 20. Here, there is an, there is an increase in negative 21. And here, there is an increase in negative 24. Okay, so how you find this is the increase from year 1 to year 2, increase from year 2 to year 3. Okay, so you just go up here, you just plot down your values. Negative 20, negative 21, negative 24. Okay. Now, you have done your working capital. Okay. Remember, this is a free cash flow to equity. Kan? So you must minus interest, you must minus tax also. Okay. Now, interest is quite straightforward because it remains the same every year. Okay. Where is my... Okay. So the company pays interest 7.5%. Okay, now your tax on profit is 30%, but it is paid in arrears. Okay, kalau dia paid in arrears, you need to be a bit careful because the current year punya tax you will pay in the next year. Okay, so it will go on like that. Okay, let's do the interest first because that's straightforward. That's an easy mark. So less interest. Interest is 990 multiplied 0.075. Okay, 990 multiplied by 0.075. I'm just going to write it down here so that you know where I get my values from. So it is 74, 74, 74. Okay, I have a question in the chat box, tapi I will go back to the question in a while. Okay, now for text. Okay, this tax you also need to do a working because of the tax paid in arrears. Okay, now, so year 0 tax you will pay in year 1. So your tax expense in the first year will be 15. Okay, so it's quite straightforward. 15. So what will be my tax for year 2? So remember for year 2, okay, I'm just going to write it here because I don't want to go and just create another working down there. So I take my operating cash flow. How much was my operating cash flow just now? Operating cost, operating profit. Okay, so my operating cash flow is 167. Okay, minus interest. Okay, 167 minus 74 multiplied by 30%. Kenapa I buat macam ni? Because this year profit, I will pay the tax in the following year. Okay, so 167 minus 74 multiplied by 0.3. This is 28. Can someone find for me the next year? 218 minus 74 multiplied 0.3. It is 43. Okay. Now, did I miss out any item? Let me go back to the question and check. Depreciation, investment in non-current asset. Oh, I forgot one more thing, which is my investment in non-current asset, right? Okay. Actually, that should go somewhere in between, but it's okay. I will just write it here lah. In non-current asset. Okay, where you get the value, remember your additions just now. That is your value. Let me show you dekat mana, dekat sini. Okay? Here. $79, $95, $114. $79, $95, $114. $79, $95, $114. So you get Fcfe. Okay, now I'm waiting for your answer.
Year 1, 114.
114. 114. And then year 2,
144,
144,
172.
172. Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm just waiting for everyone to be okay. I'm just going to give you 1 minute. Okay, so now this will be the free cash flow to equity. Okay, so what I will advise you to do, okay, the first thing that I advise you to do whenever examiner asks you to calculate Fcfe. So this is just macam like a cheat code now, okay? Whenever he asks you to calculate Fcfe, to make your life easy, if you want to, you can straight away, kalau you nak make it easy, what you can do is, you can straight away take your operating profit minus interest minus tax, and then you do any other adjustment. Okay, because you will get the same answer anyways. Okay, I'm just going to write here. Your cheat code or the shortcut is you can take operating profit minus interest minus tax directly, and then you make adjustments for relating to FCF. That means relating to free cash flow. Example kan, what I mean is operating profit less interest less tax at depreciation, and then you boleh buat any other changes lah. So you add or minus your changes in working capital, your increase in investment of non-current asset, all that you can make the adjustment later. So up to you, okay? This is macam a cheat code, okay? It's not exactly the right way to do it, because the right format to do it is the format that I gave you here. But examiner tak akan penalize. He will not minus your mark if you do this. So to make your life easy, I would say go ahead and do this. Since he's not going to deduct any marks anyways kan. So you make your life easy. Okay. If he asks you to find FCF, then you only minus the interest later on. That means here you don't minus interest first. You only minus the interest if he asks for FCFE. Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna stop here for one. I'm gonna take a 5 minutes break before I'm gonna give you, not take a 5 minutes break, I'm gonna give you a 5 minutes break before I come back to address the question in the chat box, and then to summarize or to wrap up the whole question. Okay, so 5 minutes. Can get your 5 minutes toilet break. Guys, I'm back. Are you? Okay. I had to take a chocolate break to eat chocolate. Those who know me, you know me, right? I like to eat chocolate. Okay. Now, let's go through or summarize this question. Okay. I'm going to bring this question up now. Okay, your friend Tanya. Wait, let me see if the friend who asked is here or not, because that's the friend that keeps getting disconnected. Okay, your friend is here now. So your friend asked if I don't include depreciation directly in the format just to save time, is that okay? Actually, for this question, it is not okay. You cannot like exclude depreciation directly. The reason is because for this question, you have to find the operating profit by yourself. Operating profit isn't given to you. If operating profit is given to you, you can disregard depreciation. But you only can disregard depreciation kalau operating profit is given if you have this line. Okay? If you don't have this line, you cannot ignore depreciation. You have to include it, because the reason is kalau you ignore, your operating profit here salah. Bila operating profit salah, the whole other things is wrong as well. So it will affect your working. Even though it's probably 1 or 2 marks, but in the end of the day, it's 1 or 2 easy marks. I always will tell my student, for as much as you can get all your easy marks, please go ahead and try your best to do it. Walaupun it takes that 1 extra second to do the question, go ahead and do it, because it's an easy mark. You confirm, you know that you can get it, so go ahead and do it. But in this question, you tak boleh ignore depreciation, because if you ignore the depreciation, what will happen is operating profit wrong, the entire thing is going to be wrong, and you're going to lose unnecessary marks. Okay, now to summarize this question, how is this question different from another question or from other questions? This question, you started from revenue. Some questions, memang you kena start from revenue. Some questions, the revenue, you don't have to touch it because operating profit is already given. So that's number 1. Number 2, for this question, you add depreciation. Some questions, you do not have to add depreciation because of the sentence that I told you just now. Okay. And number 3, this question is to find Fcfe. So you kena minus interest. Some questions you cari FCF, so don't have to minus interest. So actually, the reason why I did this question is because it's a fairly straightforward, simple question. You have more difficult FCF questions, okay? You can try them by yourself. But for the basic, I have already taught you here. Now, I wanted to say something. Oh, okay, common mistake. What are students' common mistake? Normally, students' common mistake is things like this. You start with year 0. That means they forgot to inflate in year 0. So you must be very careful which is current information and which is your future information. Sometimes you also need to be careful because the current information may be equal to year 1. Lepas tu dia only start to inflate from year 2 onwards. So those are the kind of information that you need to be very careful. When you read it, you need to be very careful. Which year he starts to inflate? Is it from year 1? Is it in year 2? So that's one thing you need to be careful. So I'm going to write it down there. Be careful of when the inflation starts. Okay, number 2, the most common mistake is careless mistake. Because here you have so many numbers. That means you multiply 1.09 lepas tu to the power of 2, and then you add, and then you minus, you add back some of it. So that will lead to careless mistake. So my advice to you, wherever possible, if you can have a subtotal, you subtotal terus. So example here, I subtotal gross profit, I subtotal operating profit. If you want, you put the interest and tax dekat sini, you want to subtotal here, can. So wherever you can, try to have a subtotal because you want to reduce the risk of error. I know some of you will say, but miss, if I do the subtotal, isn't it wasting my time? What do you want? Do you want to lose more mark, or do you want to spend that extra 1 minute on something that is easy and you can gain the marks? So careless mistake. Number 3. Now, this is something I'm going to tell you now. Okay, in your exam, kan dekat sini you total, you get 2013. In your examination, you don't have to total up here. You can straight away, instead of you write the total here, you straight away write the total here. That means you don't have to actually, tak payah, you don't have to write the subtotal here. Okay, if you are confident enough, you don't have to, because you can save time. Examiner will know, where did you get 2013 from working number 1? What are the elements 1 to 3? Examiner will not check your total. Examiner will check your working. So you don't have to do the subtotal. Okay. And then any other things here? Okay, that's about it for this part of the question. Let me see. Okay, so that's about it. Now, for this question, okay, I'm going to ask you, do you have any questions that you want to ask me? So it can be a specific question on this particular question, or it can be a general FCF or FCFE question. Okay, do you have any questions or not? Anything specific? Maybe I can give you 2 minutes.
Hi, Miss.
Yes?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, just in case, if I forgot to put the inflation, is it, so I add another column for year 0, will it affect my working or marking?
Will it be affected? Okay. If it is CBE, okay, this is the tricky part. If it is CBE, you will straight away tulis in the Excel. You will straight away do equal to 5,000 multiply 1.09. So if it's a CBE, you will not get penalized. But if it's a paper-based question, you have to write this working. If you don't write this working, examiner will penalize you, will minus your mark, because in the examiner's view, where did you get 4540? If he don't see a working, okay, he might penalize. Let's say you feel like you don't have enough time. So what you do is, you don't have to write multiply 1.09. You just write at the side. You open bracket, you say 9% growth, GROWTH, annual per annum. If you don't have time, you write this, and then examiner will know what you have done. So you don't get penalized. But I will not advise you to do that unless you really don't have enough time. Then only you write this. If not, you just write the 1.09. I think it's a lot safer. Another thing that you can do is, you can write just multiply 1.09, multiply 1.09. Also can. As long as it's very neat. If it's messy, then examiner gets like a headache. Okay, as long as it's neat, then okay, can. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else? Okay, if it's not specific to this question, any other question that you want to ask me relating to FCF? Maybe you have done a question and then you macam tak faham, you don't understand what's happening. So you want to ask me now? Can, no problem. Or you want to wait until the end of the class and then you want to ask me? Also can. Okay, I've got no problem. Now, if you don't have any questions, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to open to general question. That means you want to ask me questions on another topic. You want to ask me the study technique. You want to ask me which topic that is difficult that you need to focus on. All those kind of questions, I'm going to open for those questions for the next half an hour to 20 minutes to half an hour. Anyone, you can put in the chat box, you can unmute your mic, any P4 or AFM related question that you want to ask me. How to prepare for exam pun boleh. No?
Miss, regarding business valuation, dia punya topik kan macam complicated. For me dia sangat complicated dan menakutkan lah. So macam mana, ada ke method dia, sebab first experience exam I jadi blank tau. So I jadi lupa, kan banyak benda nak ingat kan. Itulah.
Okay. The thing about business valuation sebenarnya I memang don't have a method, because kalau ada method tu ada banyak method to remember. Okay, I just want to let you know, kalau business valuation we have few areas, which is we have mergers and acquisition, and then you have reconstruction and reorganization. Okay, the one that is easy among these two is reconstruction, reorganization. Okay, this is easy sebab whenever there is a reconstruction, reorganization, it's quite straightforward because dia akan bagi tahu which of it yang you akan jual, which of it that you will have to add into the new business. So you will have a direction on how you value it. The one that is difficult is merger and acquisition. Okay. Especially when you have acquisition, you have 3 different types of acquisition. You have cash basis, you have share for share exchange, and you have a combination method. Combination maksudnya you can have a cash plus share for share exchange. This is, I think, the most difficult part. For the share for share exchange, biasanya I tak ada method, but when I do the question with my student, I will explain to them what is the logic of doing that. So in the hopes of bila I explain logic tu, the next question that they do, they have a direction on how to do it lah. But other than that, I don't really have a method. So I always tell my students, kalau you see a business valuation question, what you do or how you tackle the question is, it can ask you one of few methods. They can ask you net asset basis, or he can ask you free cash flow, or he can ask you this one yang I tulis dekat sini, merger acquisition history 1, 2, 3. So if you see the question ada indication of net asset basis, walaupun you don't know where to start, where to end, just do the net asset basis for the company that you need to do the net asset basis. Okay, just do the free cash flow for the company that you know. So even though you tak combine everything together, in the end of the day, all the separate individual calculation that you do, you akan dapat markah. So in the end of the day, all the separate individual calculation that you have performed, you probably can get about 30 to 50% of the marks. Okay. I really cannot explain in more detail because I don't have enough time to explain more detail about this. Okay. But if you happen to attend my class, then I will bring this for you in a very structured approach. That means I will do acquisition, mergers, reconstruction, reorganization. Normally, I will start off with explaining to you net asset basis, the cash flow method, and the income-based approach. These 3 general one. Lepas tu, what I will do is I will do a very exam-oriented question. That means I will start off with one of the past year question, and then I will show you how I can apply this same method into another question. So biasanya I will do that. Normally that's what I do. And then after that, I will go into reconstruction and reorganization. But to be very frank with you, I feel like the most difficult topic in your AFM paper is business valuation. Okay, because your other topics, you have a structure, you have a format, you know what to do. But in business valuation, you do not know what to do. Sometimes you can be thrown a question that you have no direction at all. So what I would suggest you to do is, okay, when you get your exam paper, the first question that you do, bukan question number 1. You always start with the 25 mark question. So you have 3 questions, 50 marks, 25 marks, 25 marks. You always start with 25 mark question first. The reason is because 25 mark question ni, you know you can finish it within the time frame given. So example, kalau 25 marks, 1.9 marks per question, so you need about 47.5 minutes for 25 marks. Kan? So you know that you can finish this question within 47 minutes. The problem is, I always tell my student, do not start with 50 marker. Do not start. The reason is because the more you read, you will overrun your time. The next you think you know, you dah habis 2 hours, you are still in the 50 marker. That is the most dangerous thing that you can ever do. So you start with 25 marks. Okay, katakan the other 25 mark is a business valuation question and you don't know what to do. Then you leave this aside first. Leave the calculation aside. You do the theory first. That means whichever theory you know what to do, you do the theory first. And then you move to the 50 marker question. Okay, that's like the best thing that I can advise you to do. Don't start with 50 mark question first. And then business valuation, you have to do it in piecemeal basis. You do whichever you know how to do. Okay. I hope that helped you. I really don't know how else to explain it to you.
Okay, Miss, I will try. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Ken. Welcome. Okay, I have a question here. Someone asked me for the AFM sprint class. Will you cover the theory? I will not cover 100% of the theory. I will cover the theory for whichever question that I feel is difficult. That means based on my experience, student find it difficult. I will not give you the full answer, tapi I will discuss the points only. I will teach you how to derive to the answer. But I will never have time to do a full theory question in a sprint class. Okay. The next question, if we want to value a project using discount factor, how to know whether the discount is KE, KD, or WACC? Okay, so this is a very good question because this relates to the free cash flow topic. Okay. Now, if the examiner asks you to value a company using the free cash flow method, okay, if examiner say value a company, so you can have company, you can have FCF, free cash flow to the firm, you can have FCFE. Now, free cash flow to the firm, because this is the funds that is available to the capital providers, you will use WACC sebab it is for the company as a whole. You use WACC to discount it. If it is FCFE, you want to find the value to only equity holders, you will discount it at KE because this is the discount factor for the equity holders. Okay. It's very rare examiner ask you to use KD. Okay, I've never seen examiner ask you to use KD, but if he say the free
3.5. Ya, dia ada dua.
Okay, I'm not sure if the person was talking to me or not. Okay. FC, where was I? Okay, it's very rare that the examiner asks you to calculate or to discount using KD. But if you want to discount using KD, is because you want to find the value to the debt holders, so you will discount using KD. So the way to understand it is value to the company, WACC, value to equity, KE, value to debt holders, KD. Okay, hope that answers your question. Okay. Okay, anyone else got any other question?
Hi, Miss.
Hi.
Okay, Miss. As this is my first professional paper, so the last time I taking exam, I really have hard time to answer the writing part. The theory part lah, something like the writing lah. So, do you have any tips for me, what should I do to improve my writing? Because last time I think my marks only for the calculation part, because I cannot answer the writing part.
Okay, this is actually quite okay. Let me just give you an example here. What you can do. Okay, so let's say you have a theory part. I always tell my students here. Okay, let me see whether I have a question that I can give you as an example here. Yang tak ada calculation, evaluating, summarizing, all these I need. Okay, so let's say here, he said discuss the advantage and the disadvantage of issuing mezzanine debt in the situation outlined. So whenever you see a question like this, right, you can identify the key terms already. The key terms, this is a simple question. So the key terms are advantages, disadvantages, mezzanine debt. Okay, what you need to do is you first need to identify the key words. So you need to know what is a mezzanine debt. Mezzanine debt is a hybrid debt. Hybrid debt. So you need to know what is the advantage and the disadvantage of a hybrid debt first. So for you to be able to answer this kind of question, the keywords are very important. So you identify the keywords, okay? And then from there, you build your answer. So you need to have a thinking process. So what is a mezzanine debt? So katakan you don't know, you have no idea what is the theory about. But look at it in your point of view. You are a student. I have studied mezzanine debt, hybrid debt. I know that a hybrid debt, example, convertible debt. Okay, so what is the advantages of it? So you think of it in your perspective and you write your answer. If you do that, right, that means you are just writing points. Points, full sentence. Before you can write points, but you must write full sentence, you will be able to get 30 to 50% of the mark just by identifying the keywords only. You are not answering the question, because if you want to answer the question, you need to apply it to the scenario here. But you are not doing that, so you will not get full marks. But if you just use the keyword to answer, you will get at least 30 to 50% of the marks. So that is what I would advise you to do first. Or let's say you are at the starting of the semester, what you do is you take your examiner's answer sheet. Okay, let's say if your lecturer doesn't do the question together with you in class, you take the answer sheet, you go through the answers, you highlight the important points. Lepas tu, what you do is after you highlight, you write it back down here. That means you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, whatever it is. And then you make sure you write the points, but in your mind, you are elaborating it by yourself. That means you use your own words. As you keep doing that, you practice doing that, it will be much easier for you to in future write your own answer, because you know the points in your mind, you have the narrative, you have the explanation. When you write it, it will be much easier. Tapi yang ni, you have to practice from the beginning lah. That means from day one, you already need to start to take the question and write down all the answer based on examiner's answer sheet. Not answer sheet, answer scheme. Okay, I hope that helps you. Is that okay?
Okay, Miss. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so another question here. If value to debt holders, we will discount FCF. Okay, value to debt holders. I've not actually seen a question where he asks you value to debt holders, but logically kan, okay, this is logic lah. If they want you to find value to debt holders, that means you find free cash flow to firm, you minus equity, you will get the value to debt holders. That is logic, because free cash flow to firm is to debt and to equity. Now you only want the debt holders. So what you do, free cash flow to firm, you minus equity, you get debt. That's the logic. But I've never seen him ask this way lah. That means like terbalik, like what you're asking me. Not yet, I guess. Okay, anyone else got any other question? If you want to ask me any other question. Okay, so normally, right, in P4, just to give you a very like brief overview, what is the simple topics that you should be able to score full marks? Okay, number one, the simplest topic is Forex. Very, very honestly, Forex is easy, Forex is straightforward because you have a format, you have a structure. Number two, your investment appraisal. Investment appraisal, it consists of a few areas. Okay, one is APV. Okay, another one is free cash flow can fall under investment appraisal also. You may have BSOP can also fall under this also, BSOP. Okay, these are all considered easy topics. Number three, the easy one is WACC. Okay, now I don't know how your lecturers teach you WACC, but whenever I teach my student to do WACC, because in your syllabus, cost of capital is a little bit difficult because the majority of it is the ungearing, regearing part. Okay, for the most part, your focus will be on the ungearing and regearing. So what I always tell my student is draw a diagram. Because when you draw the diagram, you can see you add what new branch, you minus what new branch, and it will be like this. Let's say company A, you have division, let's say division 1, division 2. So here you can have debt, equity, BA, BE. Here you will have the debt proportion, equity proportion, BA, BE. Here for the company as a whole, you may have debt, equity, BA, and BE, right? So whenever you draw the diagram, you can clearly see what are these values. And when you want to do the ungearing and regearing, life becomes easy. Now, sometimes, oh my God, this is getting complicated. Yeah, I'll just stop here because I wanted to talk about the portfolio beta, but I think it will get too complicated for those people who haven't started class. I don't want to scare you yet, okay? But it's actually quite simple, quite straightforward. Okay, what other topics are easy? VAR is easy, okay? VAR is easy, free cash flow, APV, BSOP. Yeah, I think that's about the easy topics, okay? And then the difficult one is business valuation. So I always tell my student, business valuation, as much as you can, you must try to attempt, I'm telling you, you must try your best to attempt 100% of the past year question. Semua, every single question. You don't have time to do it manually, please audit the answer. Because when you audit the answer, at least you have a little bit of knowledge. Daripada langsung you tak ada knowledge. So what I always tell my students to do, compile your question on a topical basis. Usually what I do is when I teach my student, I akan bagi tahu. Investment appraisal, APV means what are the questions in the past year question. So they already know it. You, if you don't know, if your lecturer didn't tell you, please do it by yourself. Compile it on a topical basis because your life gets easy. Okay, because you're looking at each and every question. Okay, so the one that you need to focus on is business valuation. You must do every single question. The others are easy, straightforward. The difficult ones are actually the theory parts. Okay, the theory is very difficult. You must attempt it by yourself at home first. If you join me in my class, I will give you the points, but I will not give you the full narration of the answer because we don't have enough time. Okay, so do you have any other questions? Okay, Doesn't look like anybody have any questions. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, then we will end here today. Do I have anything? Oh, okay. So before we end today, I just want to wish you all the best for your results on Monday. Okay, I hope everything goes well. I hope those people who are nervous and those people who had put in so much effort to study, I hope everything has paid off. Okay. Um, at this point of time, all you can do is just pray, pray, and pray. I think you know that because there's nothing much that you can change from your paper. Um, I hope that whomever is supposed to move forward from here doing your final paper, I hope this will actually be your final paper. I hope everything goes well. I wish you all the best. Have a good weekend. Good night. Take care. Stay safe. The COVID cases are very bad. Okay. I hope that you stay safe. Yeah. Have a pleasant studying journey throughout this coming semester. Okay. If I see you, I see you, and I hope to see you in my IRC or whichever class. Okay. Take care, guys. Have a good night. Stay safe. Sleep well.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank
Welcome.
you, Miss. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, Miss.
Welcome.